On the battlefield, amidst a flurry of snow, the 5th Prince of Dongling, Lu Fenglian, has won a great victory. Slung over his shoulder is his captive, the daughter of the desert warlord, Tuoba Feiyuan. She struggles and curses all the way, "Let go of me, you bastard." The soldiers, however, raise their arms and cheer, celebrating their prince's triumphant return. All of this is witnessed by one person in a tent. His fiancée and the mastermind behind this victory, the military strategist, Chuelli. It was thanks to her strategy that the army won so easily. She decides to personally meet this captured enemy princess. Inside Prince Lian's tent, Tuoba Feiyuan is pinned to the ground, but shows no fear, her eyes filled with hatred. The prince, intrigued, lifts her chin. She yells defiantly, "You dog. If you have the guts, kill me. If I so much as frown, I am not the daughter of the desert warlord." Her fiery words only pique the prince's interest. He says playfully, "You're the first person who has dared to curse me." Interesting. However, this flirtatious scene is seen clearly by Chuelli from outside the tent. Her handmaiden, Zisu, complains on her behalf, "My lady, the prince is soon to be married to you. How can he be flirting with the daughter of a traitor now?" 3 days later, as Chuelli is sewing under the lamplight, Zisu bursts in, furious. It turns out that Tuoba Feiyuan was pardoned by the prince for revealing the location of the remaining enemy forces. Not only that, but for the past few days, the prince has been inseparable from her, merely giving her a light scolding for tearing up his military books, and even injuring the soldiers sent to hunt down her father. Hearing this, Chuelli finds it absurd. How could such an action win the respect of the troops? Suddenly, she remembers something, and her face turns pale. The general leading the attack on the Tuoba king that day was my older brother. Just as she says this, a soldier rushes into the tent in a panic, bringing devastating news. Strategist General Chu is in trouble. One moment, we hear that Chuelli's brother has met with disaster. The next, the army doctor delivers the diagnosis, gravely telling Chuelli, "Lady Li, I'm afraid the general will no longer be able to perform his manly duties." The handmaiden is horrified. The Guogong mansion has been loyal for generations, and now the general is the only male heir. This means the end of their family line. Overcome with grief and rage, Chuelli ignites with fury, draws her dagger, and storms out. At this moment, on the military training grounds, the one responsible for her brother's ruin, the enemy Princess Yuan'er, is being protected by Prince Huiyi. Chuelli rushes forward with her blade, roaring, "She has destroyed my brother's entire life. I will make her pay in blood." But to her utter shock, Huiyi grabs her wrist, blocking her and scolding her in return. "Yuan'er has just lost her family. So what if she's a bit extreme? Can't you be more tolerant of her?" Even more ridiculously, Yuan'er shows no remorse, and declares arrogantly, "Humph. Xu Xiaohe killed my father and brother. I only castrated him. He got off easy." Chuelli argues back that her father and brother were guilty of treason and deserved to die, while Yuan'er, for harming a loyal general, deserved death even more. But Huiyi refuses to listen, even accusing Chuelli of becoming callous. He actually says, "Yuan'er is truly just an innocent little girl. You used to be the most understanding person. How have you become so harsh now?" These words are the final straw that breaks Chuelli. Her heart turns cold, and she replies icily, "Your Highness is mistaken. I am just this harsh." With that, she violently breaks free, and, with a backhand strike, stabs Yuan'er. Seeing this, Huiyi loses all composure, cradling the fallen Yuan'er and shouting, "You wretched girl. Are you all dead? Get a doctor." Watching this scene, Chuelli finally understands that in Huiyi's heart, she is worth far less than this traitor's daughter. He actually intended to kill her. Seeing the man she loves ready to kill her for another woman, Ali's heart turns to ash. She asks Prince Jing if he intends to avenge that woman, and he replies without hesitation, "Do you think I wouldn't dare?" His heartless words leave Ali completely disillusioned. Just then, the red-robed woman whimpers, "I'm in so much pain," instantly capturing all of the prince's attention. The worry and ache in his eyes are overflowing, a stark contrast to his coldness toward Ali. He lifts the woman into his arms, and, in front of everyone, walks away without a backward glance, leaving his fiancée Ali standing alone. Heartbroken, Ali rushes to see her gravely injured brother. Her brother, having heard what just happened, is deeply worried about her impending wedding next month. Ali forces back her sorrow, and instead comforts her brother, telling him to rest well. That night, an intoxicated Prince Jing stumbles into Ali's tent. He grabs her hand, and, for the first time, bows his head in apology. "I was wrong today. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Don't be angry with me, please." When Ali remains unmoved, he suddenly drops to his knees, humbly pouring out his heart about how he was never loved as a child. and only Ollie was his comfort. He repeatedly promises that his heart belongs only to her, and that after they marry, he will love only her. Just as Ollie's defenses are about to be broken by this emotional display, the prince's tone shifts, and in an almost dreamlike voice, he utters the cruelest words. "I think I've fallen in love with that other girl." One moment, she's hearing Prince Jing's deep confession. The next, he's telling her he loves someone else. Ollie finds it utterly ironic. It turns out the prince was attracted to the rebellious spirit of the girl named Ware. Ollie can't help but recall that it was because he once said he liked gentle women, that she restrained her sharp edges and suppressed her true nature. But now, is he here to break off their engagement for some arrogant young girl? Faced with Ollie's question, the prince panics. He hurriedly grabs her, promising never to break the engagement, and begging her for time, swearing he will forget Ware and fall in love with her again. Heartbroken, Ollie ultimately chooses to give him one more chance. But she never imagined the prince's promise would be so cheap. He had barely left when Ollie saw him outside the camp, holding hands with that red-robed woman. She heard the woman pout, "You're already engaged to her. Why are you still taking me to the capital?" The scene is like a sharp knife stabbing viciously into Ollie's heart. To add to her humiliation, the woman is an old acquaintance of hers, Chuelli. She watches as Chuelli breaks free from the prince, walks straight up to her, and, with eyes full of hatred and provocation, declares in front of everyone, "Chuelli, for the wound from that stab, one day I will repay you with interest. You just wait." Her former sister, now her rival in love, publicly betrays and humiliates her, plunging Ollie into complete despair. Seeing her fiancé fawning over another woman right in front of her, and even planning to leave her alone in the military camp for that woman, the red-robed Tuoba Feiyuan completely explodes. She angrily shouts at the general, "I, Tuoba Feiyuan, will never share a husband with another woman. If you can't be with me and only me for a lifetime, then you can get lost now." In her struggle, she slaps him hard across the face. The slap thoroughly enrages the general. He says coldly, "I think you're tired of living," and then forcibly carries her to his carriage. This entire scene is witnessed by the general's official fiancé Ollie, who is dressed in striking red armor. Her handmaiden and another prince both feel it's an injustice. Believing this is a public humiliation for her. But Ollie remains exceptionally calm. With a determined look, she says, "The ones who should feel ashamed are them, not me." With that, she gracefully mounts her horse and resolutely rides away alone. Inside the carriage, the general discovers Ollie is missing and is instantly alarmed. When his adjutant reports that Lady Li has left on her own, he becomes furious. "What? Leaving the army without permission is a capital offense. It seems I've truly spoiled her." Losing control due to his personal feelings, he immediately issues an order. "Pass on my command." The entire army is to set off immediately and return to the capital. A drama sparked by a love triangle has now altered the course of the entire army. Furious about Ollie's unauthorized departure, the prince storms back to his mansion. He believes he's been too lenient with Ollie, and is determined to teach her a lesson this time, making her come to him and admit her mistake. He waits confidently, certain that Ollie will come begging for his help regarding her brother, who also left his post without permission. However, 10 days pass, and there's no movement from the Guogong mansion. The prince's patience wears thin when he learns that General Chu's injuries are not serious, and that he has even had an audience with the emperor. His pride is dealt a massive blow. Enraged, he concludes that Ollie is plotting something behind his back, and immediately heads to the Guogong mansion to confront her. At the mansion, seeing Ollie finally approach, the prince mistakes the wooden box she is holding for a gift to appease him, and his contempt grows. Before she can speak, he begins his interrogation from a position of superiority. "I have given you several days to reflect. Do you know where you went wrong?" He accuses her of being petty and jealous, and then threatens her with her brother's military offense, trying to force her into submission. "Your brother, Chu Xiaohe, deserted his post in the army. That is a capital crime." However, Ollie maintains a stunning composure throughout. Upon hearing the words, military law, she doesn't panic. Instead, a faint smile plays on her lips, and she turns his words back on him, asking with sharp eyes, "Is your highness here merely to discuss military law with me? If that's the case, then what about Tuoba Feiyuan, who injured a general's soldiers without cause? What crime should she be charged with?" This question instantly silences the once arrogant prince. One moment, he was rendered speechless by Ollie's comeback. The next, the prince confronts her again in her room. He defends his new love, Xianer, claiming that since her family was just destroyed, her extreme actions are understandable, and even accuses Chuelli of becoming narrow-minded. Chuelli is enraged by this double standard and sharply retorts, if that's the case, how about we let her stab you next time? Pushed into a corner, the prince decides to lay his cards on the table. He confesses that Xian'er is the only woman he has ever truly wanted to marry. But he offers not to break their engagement on one condition. Chuelli must accept Xian'er as a co-wife. And after the wedding, he will never touch her, leaving her to live as a widow for the rest of her life. This insulting proposal makes Chuelli see the man before her for the selfish and hypocritical person he truly is. Yet the prince continues, smugly believing that by only taking 2 women, he is better than most men in the world. He then threatens her with the safety of the Gong mansion, trying to force her to comply. Just as Chuelli, utterly disheartened, is about to refuse, the door is suddenly pushed open. The red-robed Xian'er bursts in, holding a dagger. And with a vicious look, she tells her, if you want to marry into the prince's mansion, then you'll have to let me cut you with this first. A battle for dignity and love has now become unavoidable. Seeing his old love and new flame facing off with a dagger, the prince hurries forward to intervene, trying to persuade Ollie to be reasonable and take the blow. He even arrogantly declares that besides him, no one else in the entire capital would dare to marry her. But he never expected that what Ollie brought was not a gift to please him, but an imperial edict she had personally requested from his father, the emperor. The prince is enraged. He assumes Ollie is using the emperor to break him and Xian'er apart, and berates her for being despicable. Xian'er, at his side, fans the flames, mocking Ollie for pretending to be a well-mannered lady. However, when the prince angrily unfurls the edict, the words written on it make him freeze instantly. He stares at the edict in disbelief, then looks at Ollie, who is calmly sipping her tea. The anger on his face gradually gives way to shock and heartbreak. It turns out the edict was not for a marriage or an obstacle as he had imagined. It was Ollie's own request to have their engagement annulled. This proud woman, faced with betrayal and humiliation, chose not to cry or beg. Instead, she ended this long, dead relationship with the most resolute and dignified method, taking control into her own hands. He finally understood that this time, Ollie truly no longer wanted him. Learning that Chuelli had personally requested the annulment edict, the prince is both shocked and furious, feeling utterly deceived. The Princess Xian'er at his side adds fuel to the fire, snatching the edict and attempting to tear it up, only to be stopped by Chuelli's sharp rebuke. Insolence. To destroy an imperial edict is a crime punishable by 10,000 deaths. Enraged, Xian'er immediately challenges Chuelli to a duel. Chuelli calmly accepts and sets the terms with her life on the line. If she is injured, regardless of life or death, the Gong mansion will not pursue the matter. News travels fast. Chuelli's brother rushes in to stop her, but is persuaded by his sister's determined gaze. Even the prince, who had been favoring Xian'er, can't help but urge her to show mercy and not to harm Ollie. Everyone withdraws to the courtyard to await the outcome of the duel. Her brother has already sent for a female physician, fully expecting his sister to be injured. The prince even explains to him that Xian'er grew up in the desert and is vicious in her methods, implying Chuelli is in grave danger. Just when everyone is certain that Chuelli is doomed, a loud crash echoes from within. The door is blasted open from the inside, and Princess Xian'er is sent flying out with the door panel, landing heavily on the ground and spitting blood. This stunning reversal leaves everyone speechless. It turns out that the seemingly fragile Chuelli is, in fact, a hidden master of martial arts. Seeing Xian'er gravely injured, the prince rushes to her side. On the other side, Chuelli calmly admits that she was the one who struck her, but assures him it's not a fatal blow. The prince is furious, demanding to know how many masters the Gong mansion has hidden away. Chuelli, unafraid, tells him to search for himself. The prince tries to use their engagement to pressure her, but Chuelli coolly reminds him that the imperial edict has been issued. The engagement is void, and then delivers the final blow with the words, "Besides, I was the one who left you first." At the urging of Chuelli's brother, the prince finally gives up the argument and departs in a rage, carrying the unconscious Xian'er. But his hateful glare before leaving suggests this is far from over. Her brother worriedly asks his sister if she regrets annulling the engagement, as it might mean no one will dare to marry her in the future. Chuelli, however, firmly asks back, "Brother, is marriage the only path for a woman?" Her eyes shine with an unprecedented light as she declares, "Don't worry, brother. I am not as fragile as you think. From now on, I will protect the Gong mansion." At this moment, she is no longer anyone's fiancée, but a true heroine fighting for her own fate and that of her family. Inside Prince Lu Fengjin's chambers, a storm is brewing. The heroine, Xian'er, has just warned him that the woman named Ollie is far more skilled in martial arts than he is, but he completely dismisses it, Before he can argue, his mother, royal consort Rue, arrives with her handmaiden. When Yuan'er fails to kneel in greeting, the handmaiden immediately berates her. Yuan'er, a woman of fierce spirit, refuses to submit to the rigid etiquette of the court. At Lu Fengjin's urging, she completely loses her temper. Not only does she refuse to kneel, but she publicly confronts him, reminding him of his promise not to let her become one of the vicious, scheming women of the palace, even yelling that his words are like farts. This outrageous statement thoroughly enrages royal consort Rue. She immediately orders Yuan'er to be dragged out and given 50 strokes of the cane. As she's being taken away, Yuan'er desperately cries out to Lu Fengjin, calling him a coward. Lu Fengjin is heartbroken and tries to intervene, but his mother threatens him with Yuan'er's life. He can only fall to his knees in anguish, forced to watch the woman he loves being punished. However, an even bigger shock awaits him. After the punishment, royal consort Rue reveals a stunning secret. His title as the god of war of Dongling was earned by framing his rival, Prince Mo. And the mastermind behind it all was none other than the woman he believed to be a fragile, helpless girl who knew no martial arts. Ollie, who is, in fact, Yuan'er herself. One moment, Lu Fengjin learns his title as the god of war was secured through Ollie's schemes. The next, his royal mother is giving him a deep analysis of the stakes. It turns out the Gong Mansion commands the 100,000 strong Chu family army. And Chuelli is the key to that army. If he angers her and breaks the engagement now, Lu Fengjin will lose this crucial military force, and will no longer be able to stand against his rival, Prince Mo. Lu Fengjin, however, is dismissive. He arrogantly believes Ollie is utterly devoted to him, merely throwing a tantrum to get him to comfort her, and decides to discipline her lightly as a lesson. His mother agrees, but reminds him to be measured, as their ultimate goal is to secure the Chu family army. Soon, this slight discipline is carried out in the courtyard. The punished woman is beaten until she faints, while the royal mother watches coldly before turning away. Later, Lu Fengjin enters Ollie's bedchamber. Faced with the woman who is injured because of him, he feels no guilt. Instead, he is angered by Ollie's accusation that he is so afraid of his mother. He completely ignores the fact that Ollie had strategized for him and helped him conquer lands, and coldly accuses her of doing nothing but throwing tantrums. Amidst Ollie's tearful threats, he leaves without a backward glance, leaving her alone. She struggles to get out of bed to chase him, but collapses to the floor from her injuries, able only to lie on the cold ground, desperately crying his name. The fifth prince, accompanied by his attendant, joyfully goes to find Ollie. He is absolutely certain that after not seeing him for several days, Ollie must be missing him terribly, perhaps even hiding in a corner secretly wiping away tears. Sure enough, he sees Ollie sitting all alone in the courtyard, looking desolate. The fifth prince is even more pleased, pitifully remarking on how miserable Ollie seems, and strides forward, ready to console the beauty. But to his utter astonishment, as he gets closer, he sees another person sitting at the table, his masked fourth brother. The fifth prince freezes on the spot. His fourth brother ignores him completely, directly making a suggestion to Ollie and presenting her with a gift. The fifth prince tries to frame the issue as a conflict between brothers, only to be shut down by his fourth brother with a curt, "This has nothing to do with you." After his brother leaves, the fifth prince's anger finally erupts. He grabs Ollie, questioning her with possessiveness and contempt, arrogantly stating that in all of Dongling, no one would dare to marry her but him. However, Ollie just looks at him calmly. When the fifth prince demands to know what his brother gave her, she slowly raises the wooden box in her hand, and with 2 words, shatters all his fantasies, a betrothal gift. Prince Jing comes to the Gong Mansion once again, unwilling to accept Ollie's rejection. He arrogantly assumes that Ollie's previous annulment was just a tactic to play hard to get, and graciously offers that if she goes to his father the emperor and retracts her request, he will give her another chance. He even brings up his feelings for another woman, Yuan'er, to prove that keeping the position of his official consort for Ollie is a sign of his immense generosity. However, Chuelli has long seen through his hypocrisy. She points out sharply that the only reason he's keeping that position for her is because the emperor would never allow Tuoba Feiyuan to become the official princess consort. His true intentions exposed, Prince Jing flies into a rage. He begins to threaten her with the safety of the Gong Mansion, claiming that only he can protect the Chu family. Chuelli, unafraid, firmly rejects him and asks him to leave. After Prince Jing storms off, Chuelli presents the betrothal gift he left to her brother. Inside the wooden box is the command tally that can mobilize the 100,000 strong Zhanbei army. The siblings immediately realize the extreme danger of Prince Jing's intentions. This tally is a hot potato, If the emperor were to find out, it would bring disaster upon their entire family. Just then, a guard from outside reports, "General, someone from the palace is here." Faced with this mounting crisis, Chuelli's eyes narrow. She immediately decides that her brother must return the tally at once, while she goes to meet the visitor from the palace. Lady Ollie of the Gong Mansion is invited to the palace by the royal consort Su. It turns out that rumors about her and Prince Jin's intimate affairs in the military camp have spread throughout the capital, severely damaging the reputation of the Gong Mansion. The royal consort uses this as leverage, forcing Ollie to publicly request an annulment of their engagement at the celebratory banquet that evening, in order to save face for all parties involved. Faced with what seems like an impossible predicament, Ollie appears to submit, kneeling to accept the command. However, she then cleverly shifts the conversation, asking if her rival in love, Tuoba Feiyuan, the other subject of the rumors, will be attending the banquet. Upon learning that she will not, Ollie feigns aggrievement and says to the consort, "Your Highness said you would help me vent my anger. If she is not there, how can I?" This statement plays right into the hands of the royal consort, who is eager for some drama. She immediately agrees to have Tuoba Feiyuan invited, promising to make sure Ollie is satisfied. Ollie's plan has succeeded. The stage is now set for a dramatic showdown at the banquet. Meanwhile, Prince Jin has already grasped the entire situation. He sips his tea calmly, fully confident in the woman he has chosen, certain that she will not be defeated so easily. At a royal banquet, a group of noble ladies gathers, spreading vicious and embellished rumors about the lady in white Miss Shui and her alleged affair with Prince Jin. Their whispers are filled with salacious speculation. They slander Miss Shui for her supposed indecency in the prince's tent, and even suggest she deliberately spread the rumors herself to force him into marriage, claiming she has no shame. These words reach the ears of the lady in red, Tuoba, who is deeply in love with Prince Jin. Already fiercely jealous, Tuoba is enraged. She is convinced this is all a scheme by Miss Shui. She abruptly stands, smashes her cup on the floor, and confronts Miss Shui in front of everyone, attempting to drag her before Prince Jin for a public showdown. Miss Shui struggles, and in the scuffle, she is violently pushed to the ground by Tuoba. At that very moment, Prince Jin and another masked man arrive. Witnessing this highly misleading scene, at a royal banquet, a group of noble ladies gathers, spreading vicious and embellished rumors about the lady in white Miss Shui and her alleged affair with Prince Jin. Their whispers are filled with salacious speculation. They slander Miss Shui for her supposed indecency in the prince's tent, and even suggest she deliberately spread the rumors herself to force him into marriage, claiming she has no shame. These words reach the ears of the lady in red, Tuoba, who is deeply in love with Prince Jin. Already fiercely jealous, Tuoba is enraged. She is convinced this is all a scheme by Miss Shui. She abruptly stands, smashes her cup on the floor, and confronts Miss Shui in front of everyone, attempting to drag her before Prince Jin for a public showdown. Miss Shui struggles, and in the scuffle, she is violently pushed to the ground by Tuoba. At that very moment, Prince Jin and another masked man arrive. Witnessing this highly misleading scene, the prince, shocked and furious, rushes forward and demands of Tuoba, what are you doing?" A huge misunderstanding, sparked by malicious gossip, has just erupted. The prince, shocked and furious, rushes forward and demands of Tuoba, what are you doing?" A huge misunderstanding, sparked by malicious gossip, has just erupted. One moment, Prince Jin sees Yuan push the lady in white to the ground. The next, Yuan rushes toward him in a fit of rage, slaps him, and calls him a dog, demanding to know if he had an affair with the other woman. The lady in white, kneeling on the floor, tearfully explains that they were only discussing strategies with others present, and that nothing improper occurred. But Yuan refuses to listen, continuing to pressure the prince. Pushed to his limit, the prince finally loses his patience and roars, "Get back to the mansion now. You're telling me to get lost?" Yuan is completely enraged. She cannot believe the prince would treat her this way for another woman. She lunges at him again but is pushed away and even slapped in the chaos. Her heart shatters. She covers her face and murmurs, "You hit me? You hit me for her." Just as the scene spirals out of control, the emperor and empress arrive. Everyone hastily kneels. The lady in white seizes the opportunity and immediately cries out to the emperor, claiming her innocence has been slandered, and begging him to order an examination to prove her virtue, stating she would rather die than live with this shame. The conflict has now been pushed to its absolute peak. Before the emperor and empress, Chuelli calmly clarifies that she was forcibly brought here for a confrontation by Tuoba Feiyuan. Feiyuan, in turn, righteously declares that she and Prince Dongling Jin are in love. and accuses Chuelli of being the third party. Hearing this, the Empress sharply retorts that Chuelli and Prince Jean were engaged long ago. So who is the real third party? Fei Yuan, however, twists the logic, throwing out the absurd theory that the one who is not loved is the third party. Chuelli seizes the opportunity, following her logic with a tearful question: does the one who is not loved deserve to die? This performance successfully wins the sympathy of everyone present, instantly turning public opinion in her favor. Angered by the crowd's murmuring, Fei Yuan causes a scene in the court. The Empress, enraged, orders her to be dragged out and given 50 strokes of the cane. As Prince Dongling Jean pleads for Fei Yuan, Chuelli kneels once more. She reveals to the Emperor an even more vicious rumor, that she and Prince Jean were spending every night together in the camp, and begs him to clear her name and that of the Guogong mansion. The Emperor, a shrewd ruler, immediately understands this is a deliberate slander against a meritorious official. He publicly declares that General Chu and Ollie are heroes of Dongling, and if anyone dares to spread this rumor again, they will be executed without mercy. This decisive action not only saves Chuelli, but also puts a complete end to the turmoil. To realize her political ambitions, a cunning royal mother orchestrates a two-pronged psychological manipulation against her son, Jeaner, and his love interest, a foreign princess. First, she visits the princess's chambers, seemingly to comfort her, but instead constantly belittles her. She then vividly recounts all the crazy things Jeaner had done for his former lover, Chuelli, finding ancient wood for her Jean, braving a deadly mountain for her, and even transporting snow for her while he had a high fever. This narrative successfully ignites the princess's jealousy and insecurity, completely shattering her confidence. Next, the royal mother encounters her son Jeaner in the courtyard, and immediately changes her tune. She portrays Chuelli as a conniving woman, who would stoop so low as to ruin her own reputation just to gain his sympathy. Manipulated by his mother, Jeaner instantly develops a deep resentment for Chuelli. The mother then seizes the moment, pointing out to him the most important political task at hand, winning over the foreign princess to gain control of her family's 100,000-strong army. Under his mother's meticulous planning, Jeaner completely subordinates his personal feelings to political interests, willingly becoming a pawn in his mother's power games. The Guogong mansion faces a crisis of life and death. The eldest son, due to a recurring injury, is unable to perform his family's signature Shu family spear technique in an upcoming martial arts contest against the third prince of Dongzhou. If he loses, the family's military authority will be revoked by the emperor. At this critical juncture, his sister, Chuelli, steps up, determined to fight in her brother's place. However, both siblings know that with Ollie's current skill level, the chances of winning are slim. Just then, an invitation arrives from the mysterious Prince Emo. At his mansion, the siblings witness a spear technique that is based on their family's style, but is far more advanced. Prince Emo offers to help the Guogong mansion win the contest with this technique, but proposes a shocking condition. He slowly walks toward Ollie and says, both affectionately and commandingly, "Ollie, I have no designs on the Guogong mansion. I simply want to marry you, that's all." Faced with Ollie's astonishment, he further explains that she was the one who ruined his face years ago, making him unmarriageable, and therefore, she must take responsibility for his lifelong happiness and become his princess consort. A negotiation for the family's honor has instantly turned into a sudden and forceful marriage proposal. The fifth prince waits bitterly outside the Guogong mansion, only intending to gloat at Ollie's misfortune. When he sees her returning from Prince Mo's residence, he immediately confronts her, citing their engagement. He tries to persuade Ollie to join forces with him against their political rival, his fourth brother, Prince Emo. He even proposes a deeply insulting arrangement. They can proceed with the wedding as planned, but he will also marry another woman at the same time, and promises not to touch Ollie for 3 years. Faced with this generous offer, Ollie scoffs. With a steady gaze, she tells the fifth prince, "Your Highness, I truly do not want to marry you." She further reveals that Prince Emo has promised to help the Guogong mansion through its crisis unconditionally, without asking for anything in return. These words completely enrage the fifth prince. He loses control, grabs Ollie, and belittles her, saying no one would marry her if she left him. Ollie forcefully shoves him away, and retorts sharply that neither she nor the Guogong mansion needs him to survive. A wait intended to see someone else's humiliation ends up with the fifth prince becoming the biggest joke himself. Faced with the decline of her family's power, Chuelli is determined to find a new backer for herself. She confides in her handmaiden that she plans to get close to the mysterious Prince Emo, to gauge the strength of the third prince of Dongzhou. Her words are overheard by Prince Ling, who is deeply in love with her, and his anger is instantly ignited. Prince Ling storms over, demanding to know why she would seek help from another man instead of him, and warns her not to court death, or else she and the Gong mansion will face public humiliation. Chuelli calmly retorts that Prince Ling's mansion has a tigress in it, and she has no desire to be mistreated. Her words filled with a sense of helplessness and disappointment in him. After Prince Ling storms off, Chuelli, though resolute on the surface, feels a wave of turmoil. That night, alone in her room, she finds herself recalling a time when Prince Ling had tenderly asked her to be his princess consort, and her heart is thrown into chaos. She pushes open the door to get some air, and as she looks up, she sees a shocking sight. The very man who had hurled harsh words at her during the day is now sitting quietly in the large tree in the courtyard, silently watching over her. In the quiet courtyard, the masked prince proposes to Lady Li. Lady Li, however, is hesitant, worried that the emperor would not approve of the match. The prince confidently promises that if she agrees, he will marry her with the grandest of ceremonies and protect her completely. Yet, right after this heartfelt declaration, the prince inexplicably slumps over the table and falls asleep, annoyed and helpless. Lady Li is about to leave, but after a moment's hesitation, her heart softens. She brings out a blanket, gently drapes it over him, and sits quietly by his side, watching over him. Back in her room, she is restless, unsettled by this sudden stirring of her heart. The next morning, she steps outside to find the prince long gone, leaving only the neatly folded blanket on the table. As she stands there lost in thought, her handmaiden comes to remind her that today is the important day of the martial arts contest against the third prince of Dongzhou. The tenderness of last night and the challenge of today intertwine, making Lady Li's feelings even more complex. In the dead of night, the masked Prince Mo, Liu Beima, sneaks into the courtyard of the Gong mansion, lazily leaning against a tree. He makes a direct invitation to his beloved, Chuelli. If you're not comfortable here, you can just come back with me to the northern frontier. Chuelli, bound by etiquette, warily keeps her distance, while her mind races, analyzing whether his words imply he has given up his claim to the throne. At Prince Mo's invitation, they sit down at a stone table. He mentions that the only time in his life he was ever trapped was because of her. Hearing this, Chuelli immediately apologizes for the scheme that led to him being stranded in the northern frontier for 5 years. But Prince Mo changes the subject, asking about her feelings for another man, Liu Fengjin. Chuelli frankly admits she used to like him very much, but then her gaze becomes incredibly firm. She tells Prince Mo that once she decides to let go, that feeling will not even leave a shadow behind. Hearing this resolute answer, a light flashes in Prince Mo's eyes. He leans forward slightly, looks directly at her, and makes an even bolder request. If that's the case, Ollie, from now on, try to like me. On the training grounds of the Gong mansion, an emotional storm involving 3 people is brewing. The prince arrives with his jealous princess consort to observe, but his eyes are involuntarily drawn to Ollie, the woman in the black and red martial attire. Seeing this, the princess consort's jealousy flares, and she begins to argue publicly with the prince. Her words are filled with contempt for Ollie and accusations against the prince, mocking Ollie for only knowing how to use her feminine wiles to seduce men, and scolding the prince for being a dog. Enraged, the prince not only cruelly compares his consort to Ollie, saying she is not even 1/10,000th as good as Ollie, but in his fury, he ultimately slaps her hard across the face. Throughout this entire ordeal, Ollie, the center of the storm, remains seated, her expression impassive, as if everything happening before her has nothing to do with her. Her calm silence stands in stark contrast to the intense conflict of the other two, leaving the true nature of this drama shrouded in mystery. The god of war, Prince Lien, has found a new love in Chuelli, and has mercilessly imprisoned his former flame, Tuoba Feiyuan. He sends a guard to present his personal weapon, a red-tasseled spear, to Chuelli, and uses the opportunity to send a message to his rival in love, the fourth brother. He sarcastically remarks that he must be too ugly to win the beauty's favor. This maneuver stirs his own jealousy, causing him to crush the cup in his hand on the spot. At that moment, the third prince from an enemy state arrives to issue a challenge. Prince Lien's mother, royal consort Rue, immediately seizes the opportunity. She requests that the emperor decree a marriage between the third prince and Chuelli if he wins. Her true aim is to gain control of the 100,000-strong Chu family army through this union, to thwart this conspiracy and to prevent the woman he loves from falling into another's hands. Prince Lien steps into the arena himself to face the third prince. A battle for love, military power, and the fate of the nation has just begun. To help her distracted brother, Liu Fengjin, win the martial arts competition, Ollie comes up with a plan. She knows that she is his greatest weakness. So she decides to take a risk and deliberately approach the mysterious Prince Mo to provoke her brother. On the pretext of thanking him for the gift of a spear, she walks toward Prince Mo with a cup of wine, ready to put on a show. However, the shrewd Prince Mo sees right through her intentions. He warns Ollie that using him comes at a price. With that, Prince Mo plays along, suddenly reaching out and pulling her to the ground, staging an accidental and intimate-looking scene. This act instantly ignites Lu Fengjin's rage, and draws gasps and murmurs from the noble ladies present. His mind in turmoil, Lu Fengjin is soundly defeated in the subsequent competition. Only then does Ollie realize that Prince Mo was willing to ruin his own reputation to help her, and she is deeply moved. Just then, the victorious third Prince of Dong-O arrogantly challenges the entire arena. Ollie takes a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination, and steps forward, ready to fight in her brother's place. Faced with the third Prince of Dongzhou's dismissive attitude of not fighting with women, Ollie remains composed and cleverly shifts the contest from a battle of brute force to a test of exquisite skill and precision. She sets the rule: one must pierce through 8 of 10 layers of silk gauze with a spear, without damaging the 9th layer. This seemingly impossible task piques the third prince's competitive spirit, and he confidently accepts the challenge. Under the worried gazes of the crowd, the third prince makes his move first. His spear thrust is as swift as a dragon, but he fails by a narrow margin, piercing 9 layers. Despite his failure, his incredible skill amazes the onlookers, highlighting the extreme difficulty of the challenge. Everyone believes Ollie is now doomed to lose. However, when it is Ollie's turn, she remains calm and collected. Her spear thrust appears gentle yet is incredibly precise. When the eunuch inspects the gauze, it is, indeed, exactly 8 layers, no more, no less. This masterful control of power leaves the entire court in an uproar. The third prince is utterly stunned and defeated. Ollie has won this contest perfectly with her wisdom and skill, defending the honor of Dongling. Ollie's unexpected victory in the martial arts competition stuns everyone present. She seizes this opportunity to make a request to the emperor. She asks for permission for her brother to lead the Chu family army to the border to support their grandfather, who is currently defending against foreign enemies. However, this patriotic request is cleverly obstructed by the empress. Using the excuse that her brother is not yet married, she suggests that he should start a family before departing. Her real motive is to keep this important military force in the capital, preventing it from leaving her control. At this delicate moment of political maneuvering, the defeated third prince, upon learning that Ollie is unmarried, proposes to her on the spot, making the situation even more complicated. This sudden proposal is not just a personal pursuit of Ollie, but possibly a test for a political alliance. And sitting aside, the masked prince, Liu Beima, who has been silently watching Ollie, crushes the cup in his hand the moment he hears the proposal. This silent action betrays his extreme anger and jealousy, foreshadowing a more intense emotional and political storm to come. The sixth prince, Lu Fenglian, is furious that his beloved Chuelli is being overly friendly with other princes. His royal mother, Rui Fei, however, points out with sharp insight that this is all a carefully orchestrated plot by Chuelli. Her goal is to get revenge and force him to leave his new favorite, Tuoba Feiyuan, so that he will come crawling back to her. Enraged, Lu Fenglian is about to confront Chuelli when he receives news that Tuoba Feiyuan has left him a letter and run away. He gallops to the city gate, only to overhear a conversation between the Tuoba sisters. It turns out they had approached him with the intention of using his power to seek revenge on their family's enemies, Chuelli and her brother. However, in the process of this revenge scheme, Tuoba Feiyuan, who is meant to be just a pawn, has genuinely fallen in love with Lu Fenglian. Hearing all this, Lu Fenglian, instead of being angry, rushes forward and declares his love for Tuoba Feiyuan. He admits his mistakes and tearfully swears that for the rest of his life, he wants only her, in a passionate embrace. A relationship that began with a conspiracy seems to have finally found its way to true love. Late at night, a guard reports to Ollie that the third prince of Dong-O has been beaten up, but is claiming to the public that he accidentally fell. This piques Ollie's suspicion. Later, in her own courtyard, she discovers a mysterious man in a mask, gravely injured, the very prince she was thinking of. The man uses his injuries as an excuse, playfully asking Ollie to take him in and treat his wounds. As she tends to his injuries, she confirms that he was the one who hurt the third prince. The man readily admits it, stating that he did it because the third prince had his eyes on Ollie. He further reveals that his 5-year confinement in the northern frontier was not entirely due to Ollie's scheme, but was also a necessary measure to quell the chaos and protect the people. Just as Ollie feels a pang of guilt for her past actions, the man suddenly becomes emotional. He grabs her hand and asks her, with a mix of passion and pain, if she still remembers her childhood promise to marry him. This long-buried promise leaves Ollie in a state of shock and complex emotions. The masked prince, after being injured, shamelessly refuses to leave Chuelli's private chambers, insisting that she had promised to marry him when they were children. Chuelli has no memory of this and dismisses it as nonsense. However, that night, she has a vivid dream, in which she recalls kissing a young boy and making that very promise. Waking up in shock, Chuelli is mortified at being brainwashed. Just then, her handmaiden, Sisu, reports that her rival, Tuoba Feiyuan, has been acting strangely out of love, staying at the city gate all night until Prince Jean coaxed her back. Chuelli's sharp instincts tell her something is amiss. She believes someone is manipulating Tuoba Feiyuan from behind the scenes, and immediately sends someone to investigate. Soon after, she receives an invitation for a hunt from the 8th Princess of Dongmo. At the hunting grounds, she finds Tuoba Feiyuan, who has clearly followed Prince Jean there. A grand drama involving an old promise, a current rival, and a potential conspiracy has just begun. On a path in the woods, a richly dressed woman stops Chuelli out of jealousy, verbally abusing her and accusing her of seducing men with her beauty, and by playing hard to get. In a fit of rage, she even draws a dagger, intending to disfigure Chuelli's face. However, she never expected that the seemingly delicate Chuelli is a hidden master of martial arts. Chuelli not only easily deflects the attack, but also injures the woman's hand in the process. Having failed in her physical attack, the woman resorts to a more vicious psychological assault. She triumphantly reveals a shocking secret. She had once tried to assassinate a man named Chu Xiaohe, and when she was on the verge of defeat, it was none other than Chuelli's beloved agent Lu Fengjin, who stepped in to help her trap Chu Xiaohe, allowing her to gravely injure him. She even gleefully describes the look of despair in Chu Xiaohe's eyes at that moment, learning that the man she loves had betrayed her and helped her rival harm her own people. This cruel truth completely shatters Chuelli's defenses, turning her shock into a towering rage, and ultimately awakening her intent to kill. In a forest clearing, the princess in pink is whipping the white-robed woman, Tuoba Feiyuan, out of an old grudge. Meanwhile, the lady in blue, Lu Fengjin, watches, her heart filled with a mix of emotions. She regrets her years of misplaced devotion, which not only harmed her brother, but also let her enemies go free. A desire for revenge against both Tuoba Feiyuan and herself ignites within her. The armored Prince Jing arrives, desperate to save Tuoba Feiyuan, but he is stopped by the mysterious masked man known as the Fourth Brother, who blocks his path with an unseen force. Prince Jing pleads with the Fourth Brother to let him pass, but the masked man dismissively calls the violent whipping a mere sparring session, clearly siding with the princess. On the ground, Tuoba Feiyuan cries out to Prince Jing for help. Seeing his beloved being tormented and unable to do anything, Prince Jing is enraged, creating a tense standoff with the formidable Fourth Brother. In the royal hunting grounds, Princess Tuoba lies injured on the ground, crying to her beloved, the 5th Prince Lu Fengjin, and accusing Chuelli and her companions of attacking her. Lu Fengjin, believing her story, is furious, and is about to confront them. However, Chuelli's brother, General Chu, and the masked 4th Prince step forward to defend her. Just as the situation reaches a stalemate, with both sides refusing to back down, a guard steps forward as a witness, and reveals the truth. It was Princess Tuoba, who, out of jealousy, tried to slash Chuelli's face with a dagger. After her attack was blocked, she resorted to injuring her own neck to frame Chuelli, with her lie exposed in front of everyone. The enraged Princess Tuoba continues to argue, claiming that Chuelli had deliberately followed them there to seduce Lu Fengjin. Having been played for a fool, Lu Fengjin turns to Chuelli with a complicated expression and asks if she really came just for him, turning the end of a dramatic scene into an awkward emotional confrontation. Prince Jean, Lu Fengjin, had eagerly assumed that Chuelli came for him, only to be publicly mocked by the princess in pink for being so full of himself. His 5th brother further twists the knife by bluntly stating that Chuelli has no feelings for him. This series of blows leaves Lu Fengjin utterly defeated. At the same time, his true love, the injured Tuoba Feiyuan, feels her heart break as she watches him pay attention only to Chuelli. She confronts him, demanding to know why he failed to keep his promise to protect her, feeling completely let down. Seeing this, Chuelli calmly steps forward and sharply rebukes Tuoba Feiyuan, pointing out that she was the one who started the fight despite being less skilled. She then exposes her hypocrisy, mocking her for, on one hand, looking down on women who rely on men, and on the other, demanding that Prince Jean avenge her. These words leave Tuoba Feiyuan utterly humiliated in front of everyone. In a fit of extreme shame and anger, she furiously declares that she has never relied on men and will seek her own revenge. Then storms off, breaking things off with Lu Feng'en for good. In the corridor of the Jueyue Pavilion, Tuoba Feiyuan and Lu Fengjin have a fierce argument. She feels wronged by her humiliation, and even more heartbroken and angry that Lu Fengjin sided with her rival, Chuelli. In a fit of rage, she breaks up with him, declaring she doesn't need him. Enraged, Lu Fengjin impulsively agrees to end their relationship. Furious, Tuoba Feiyuan storms out of the pavilion, draws a guard sword, and, with one strike, splits the Jueyue Pavilion plaque in two, completely severing their connection. Meanwhile, the other protagonist of this drama, Chuelli, learns of the incident. Though she appears gentle on the surface, her eyes reveal an unexpected coldness and determination. She tells her confidant that even if Lu Fengjin didn't intentionally cause harm, he was still an accomplice. She is resolved to make those who have wronged her pay the price. A quest for revenge, sparked by a love triangle, is about to begin in the shadows. In the courtyard of the prince's mansion, Prince Jean practices his archery, hitting the bullseye every time in preparation for the upcoming autumn hunt. His subordinate suggests that if they could recruit the highly skilled General Chu, they would surely win the top prize. Before he can finish, Princess Tuoba Feiyuan from the desert appears. She apologizes for their previous argument, and, to prove her own worth, performs a stunning feat of archery on the spot. She shoots an arrow that splits the one Prince Jean had just lodged in the bullseye, earning his admiration. Just then, an imperial edict arrives, ordering Prince Jean to immediately lead troops to Hong County to suppress a rebellion. Tuoba Feiyuan sees this as her chance to make a name for herself, and volunteers to go with the army. Prince Jean readily agrees. Elsewhere, Prince Jin's true strategist, Chuelli, hears the news, a look of gravity crossing her face. She knows that this proud and skilled desert flower is no simple character, and her presence is bound to bring great turmoil to this campaign. Prince Lu Fengjin leads his army deep into a forest, faced with an unknown enemy situation. His subordinates advise a cautious retreat. However, Princess Tuoba, who is traveling with them, is vehemently against retreating, fearing it would be a loss of face for her. When a subordinate mentions that the wise Lady Li would never let them take such a risk, the remark ignites Tuoba's jealousy. She begins to mock Lu Fengjin, insinuating that all his military achievements were thanks to Chuelli. At first, Lu Fengjin maintains his composure and orders a retreat, but Tuoba continues to provoke him with taunts like, "Do you want to live under Chuelli's shadow forever? You are the invincible god of war." Ultimately, he is successfully goaded into abandoning his rational judgment, and orders the entire army to advance recklessly. Meanwhile, the true strategist, Chuelli, deduces from battle reports alone that this is a trap to lure them in. Just as she reaches this conclusion, a messenger arrives with urgent news. Prince Jin's army has been ambushed and is trapped in the mountains. A disaster, sparked by impulsiveness and jealousy, has now unfolded. After a devastating battle, the gravely wounded Ajin leads his remaining troops to hide in a forest, consumed with guilt for the loss of 30,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, Yuaner, the woman traveling with him, is in hysterics, not over the loss of life, but because of a small scratch on her face. At that moment, the surviving soldiers arrive, blaming Yuana entirely for their defeat. They are filled with rage and swear to kill her for revenge. At this critical moment, Ajin stands up and takes all the responsibility upon himself. But the soldiers have lost all faith in him. Instead, they speak of the brilliant strategist, Lady Li, believing only she can save them. Hearing this, Yuaner's jealousy flares, and she begins to slander Lady Li, completely enraging everyone. Just as the internal conflict is about to explode, with the soldiers demanding Yuaner be sent to the front lines, an army suddenly appears in the distance. It is Lady Li, who has arrived with reinforcements at their most desperate hour. Seeing Chuelli, who has come to rescue him at this life-or-death moment, Ajin is stunned. He finally realizes how deeply he had misunderstood her. Prince Jean, Lu Fenglian, awakens from his injuries on his sickbed. He learns from his attendant that it was Ollie who, risking her own life, led the Chu family army to save him from being surrounded. He is deeply moved by this profound love, mistakenly believing that Ollie's feelings for him have never changed. He immediately decides that after the autumn hunt, he will grandly marry Ollie as his official princess consort. However, in another part of the Gong mansion, a different truth is revealed. Ollie confesses to her brother that she saved Prince Jean not out of love, but to use the opportunity to show the world the incompetence of the god of war of Dongling, thereby destroying his reputation. She has long since moved on from her past feelings for him, and has already requested permission from the emperor to become a female general. Faced with her brother's concern that no good family would want to marry a female general, Ali's eyes are firm. She tells him she no longer wants to be trapped in matters of love, and wishes to build her own legacy, and protect her family and the Gong mansion with her own strength. A deep misunderstanding and a clear-eyed decision stand in stark contrast. The villainous Prince Tuoba Shuang conspires with his subordinate to spread a rumor that Chuelli was gravely injured while saving Liu Beima, intending to test and strike at his friend, Liu Beima. Meanwhile, in her own chambers, Chuelli is stopped by the masked Liu Beima. He uses the rumor to playfully probe her true feelings. Chuelli, however, calmly confesses that her journey was not to save him, but to defeat him in the autumn hunt, completely destroying his reputation as the god of war, and thereby severing all ties with the Jing princely mansion. Faced with Chuelli's resolute stance, Liu Beima, far from being angry, affectionately proposes to her. He explains that he has been waiting for her to willingly agree, rather than being forced by an imperial edict. He even mentions their childhood promise, and vows that if she just gives him the word, he will set everything aside and be at her command, to help her achieve all her plans. A test that began with a conspiracy has ultimately turned into an unexpected declaration of true love. A prince attempts to reconcile with Ali, a woman who once adored him. He humbles himself, apologizes, and invites her to join his team for the autumn hunt, as they always used to. However, Ali's attitude is now cold and resolute. She not only rejects him outright, but also cruelly shatters all his fantasies. She clarifies that her past rescue of him in Hung County was not a 1,000-mile journey to save her husband, but merely a calculated move to prove her own abilities. And she advises him to stop being so full of himself. Amidst the prince's shock and pleading, Ali further declares that her heart no longer has a place for him, and admits she has fallen for the more capable Prince Mo. This revelation completely breaks the prince's psychological defenses. Under Ali's barrage of sharp retorts and sarcasm, he flies into a rage, calls her vicious and shameless, and storms off. An attempt at reconciliation has ended in a final, complete rupture. The foreign princess, Tuoba Fei Yuan, unable to see her beloved, the regent Prince Lu Fenglian, confronts him directly. In his study, the two have a fierce argument. Fei Yuan questions his coldness and threatens to end their relationship. Lu Fenglian retorts that he was gravely injured saving her, yet she never once came to visit. Fei Yuan explains tearfully that she tried, but was blocked by the royal consort Rui. In a fit of anger, she reveals what she believes to be the truth, that the other woman, Chuelli, rescued him not for his sake, but to prove that she was stronger than him. This accusation strikes a deep blow to Lu Fenglian's pride. Enraged, he orders his guards to lock Tuoba Fei Yuan in the woodshed. As she is being dragged away, she continues to cry out, trying to make him see that he is being used. Lu Fenglian is left alone, his face a mask of fury and complex emotions. After making a mistake, Tuoba Ziyue apologizes to Prince Jean. To make amends, she offers to introduce him to a highly skilled desert flower to help him win the autumn hunt. This princess in red, upon her arrival, indeed impresses the prince with her superb equestrian and archery skills. However, later in the tea room, this desert flower reveals her ruthless nature. Merely because a handmaiden failed to kneel in time, she strikes her down with a single palm, gravely injuring her. She then confronts Tuoba Ziyue, revealing a shocking secret. Not only is she Ziyue's master, but all the unique behaviors that had attracted Prince Jean were taught by her. With her superior skill and cunning, she completely dominates Ziyue, and warns her not to even think about competing with her. What seemed like an introduction of a capable ally was, in fact, a cruel warning that the student could never surpass the master. At the autumn hunt, Ali and her companions are in the forest, when they are confronted by the provocative Prince Jean and his entourage. Citing the decline of Ali's family and the fact that her brother is now crippled, the prince tries to force her into submission, graciously offering to forgive and forget her past transgressions. Ali, composed and calm, flatly refuses, stating that their paths are different and they cannot conspire together. The Tuoba lady with Prince Jean speaks up condescendingly, mocking all women for wanting to show off in front of men, calling them clowns seeking attention. Ali seizes on the flaw in her argument and sharply retorts, asking if she herself is not a woman. When the Tuoba lady declares, "I have never seen myself as a woman," Ali pinpoints the core of her flawed thinking, the deep-seated belief that women are inferior. The Tuoba lady is left speechless. After this verbal joust, Ali ceases to engage with them and leaves with her companions. leaving the Tuoba lady with a dark expression, her pride clearly wounded. At the royal hunting grounds, the mysterious masked Prince Emo arrives. He ignores the crowd and immediately provokes Ollie with his words, even brazenly proposing to her in public, and subtly mocking her god of war brother's incompetence. Just as the confrontation is about to escalate, the Emperor and Empress arrive, and the competition begins. To liven things up, Prince Emo volunteers to demonstrate his archery skills. He gallops on his horse and from the most difficult angle, releases an arrow that hits the bullseye, earning thunderous applause. Immediately after, Ollie's brother, the renowned god of war, also takes the field. However, before the watchful eyes of the entire court, his arrow misses the target completely. This huge mistake sparks whispers among the ministers, who reveal the god of war's shameful past. He once led an army of 30,000 against a few thousand rebels, and was defeated, only surviving because Ollie saved him. The god of war's failure, the emperor's displeasure, and Prince Mo's success create a scene filled with irony and impending crisis. At the Royal Martial Arts competition, a noble lady first wins acclaim with her superb archery. Later, in the spectators' gallery, the male lead and the female supporting character are in conversation, their words dismissive of another woman, Ollie, whom they consider too delicate and not the kind of strong partner he admires. However, when the heroine Ollie makes her entrance, the scene shifts dramatically. At first, she clumsily fumbles with her bow, seemingly unable to even draw it, which draws ridicule from the officials. Just when everyone expects her to make a fool of herself, she performs a stunning, high-difficulty move. As her horse rears up, she stands on its back and fires 3 arrows at once, all of which hit the bullseye. This incredible reversal leaves all her mockers speechless. The male lead, who had previously looked down on her, is deeply shaken. He removes his mask, his eyes filled with a new curiosity and a desire to conquer, and murmurs to himself, "Ollie, just how many more secrets are you hiding from me?" A tense confrontation unfolds in the forest. The female general, Chuelli, sits atop her horse, looking down coldly at her husband, Prince Emo. She finally reveals the truth she has suppressed for years. She was once a highly skilled martial artist from a family of generals, but because of his dismissive comment that it was improper for a young lady, she was forced to hide her talents, smooth her sharp edges, and willingly become an ordinary woman of the inner chambers. She bitterly declares, "I was born a mountain, but for you, I was willing to become a gentle stream," exposing his selfishness and the harm he had caused her. Deeply shaken by these words, Prince Emo witnesses an even more jealousy-inducing scene that night. He secretly observes Chuelli alone in a tent with his brother, Prince Jing. At that moment, Chuelli's older brother also arrives to see her, stumbling upon the delicate situation. Outside the tent, Prince Emo, hearing the conversation among the three, believes his wife has betrayed him. Jealousy and regret surge through him. He clenches his fists so tightly that his veins bulge. A much larger emotional storm is about to break. In the dead of night, the 5th prince confronts his masked 4th brother, demanding to know if he has been with Ollie. The 4th brother, far from denying it, openly admits it and deliberately provokes him. General Chu, who is nearby, tries to cover for Ollie by claiming she is changing her clothes, but the 4th brother immediately pulls back the tent flap to reveal Ollie inside, instantly exposing the lie. Enraged, the 5th prince tries to use his royal status and court rules to pressure him, but the 4th brother is unfazed. Instead, he drops a bombshell. He is going to marry Ollie. This news shocks everyone present. Then, acting as the master of the Gong mansion, he dismissively tells General Chu to entertain the 5th prince, this outsider, before pulling Ollie into the tent and leaving him standing there, utterly humiliated. The 5th prince ends this failed confrontation in a fit of rage and confusion. In the late hours of the study, the female General Ollie is diligently reading when the masked prince appears to harass her, refusing to leave. With a series of playful yet deeply affectionate confessions, he expresses his fear of her being stolen away by someone else. In the midst of their flirtatious banter, Ollie becomes flustered by his proximity, and a memory flashes in her mind of a young boy rescuing her from a fire. On impulse, she reaches out and removes the prince's mask. As it falls away, a handsome face is revealed. Ollie is stunned to realize that the prince before her is the very boy who saved her all those years ago. And the prince, who had been using his disfigurement as an excuse to win her sympathy, is now utterly panicked. He stammers, "I'll come see you again tomorrow," and flees in haste. Ollie is left alone, holding the mask and looking at a book with the title, "The Most Handsome Man in the World." feeling both annoyed and amused as she processes this long-hidden secret. A royal consort has already laid a trap, planning to eliminate both Chuelli and Prince Mo during the hunt, in order to seize control of the Chu family's army. Unaware of the danger, Chuelli, though feeling uneasy, enters the forest with Prince Mo. In the woods, Prince Mo begins a direct and passionate pursuit of Chuelli. He apologizes for his previous loss of control, and straightforwardly proposes to her. Chuelli tries to refuse him by stating her lifelong ambition to become a female general, and never marry. But Prince Mo playfully misinterprets her, teasing her about whether she wants a fleeting romance with him. He then, under the guise of protecting her, exchanges his dagger for hers, and unilaterally declares it a token of their engagement. This bold and slightly roguish declaration of love leaves the usually composed Chuelli feeling both annoyed and amused. Their relationship quietly begins to change amidst the perilous forest. A sinister plot lurks behind the autumn hunt. During the autumn hunt, a young prince is determined to win first place, to prove his strength to the woman he admires, Ollie, and to make her regret not joining his side. However, at the victory banquet, when the spoils of the hunt are presented in the main hall, everyone is stunned. It is Ollie and the mysterious masked Prince Mo who appear together, and, in the name of the Gong Mansion, present the final prize of the hunt, a massive black bear. Their success delights the emperor, but shocks and displeases the empress and others who have been opposing them. The eunuch publicly announces that the Gong Mansion is the winner of the hunt. However, the atmosphere between the two victors is strangely tense. They take their seats separately, with no joyful exchange between them, only a sense of distance and confrontation. Behind this seemingly cooperative victory, there seems to be a more complex relationship and an unsolved mystery. At the palace banquet, a soldier rushes in frantically to report that Prince Jean has gone missing, and is presumed dead after being attacked by a pack of frenzied bears, while trying to rescue Chuelli. Upon hearing this, the prince's mother immediately concludes it is a trap set by Chuelli, and furiously confronts her in front of the court. At that moment, the masked Prince Mo, who had been silent, suddenly stands up. He informs everyone that he too had encountered the frenzied bears in the hunting grounds, and was only able to escape thanks to Chuelli's help. Prince Mo's testimony not only clears Chuelli of suspicion, but also confirms the real and immense danger of the bear pack. This makes the once aggressive royal mother realize that her son is not caught in a conspiracy, but is in genuine peril. She instantly panics, her anger turning to extreme fear. An interrogation aimed at Chuelli has been completely overturned by Prince Mo's unexpected testimony. On the grand hall of the palace, the daughter of the traitor Tuoba, in a fit of rage over the whereabouts of her beloved Jean, confronts Chuelli, only to be pushed to the ground in front of everyone. Chuelli then proceeds to list Tuoba's crimes before the emperor, successfully having her imprisoned. After settling this personal score, Chuelli cleverly turns the situation to her advantage. Citing the need to quell the 1,000-mile journey to save her husband, Rumor, she requests an official title to go and rescue the trapped Prince Jean. The emperor is delighted. He not only grants her request, but also gives her command of the Imperial Dragon Guard, to demonstrate her capability and awe the court. Chuelli takes a spear, and, with a powerful display of internal energy, strikes the ground, causing it to crack and burst into flames. Her hidden martial prowess stuns everyone present, including the royal consort who had been her enemy. With this masterful political maneuver, Chuelli completely transforms her status and image within the palace. In a deep forest, a prince is viciously attacked by a black bear, and is on the brink of death. Just as he is about to be gravely injured, a skilled female warrior in black, Ollie, appears. She calmly fights off the bear and saves him. In the conversation that follows, their complicated past is revealed. The prince, disapproving of Ollie's martial arts, had made her hide her skills for years. After being rescued, the prince is filled with gratitude and regret, and tries to express his feelings. But Ollie responds with icy resolve. She tells him that saving him was merely an order, and that there is no personal feeling involved. She then turns and leaves, leaving the injured prince alone. In the solemn ancestral hall of their family, Ollie reveals a series of shocking truths to her brother. Faced with the precarious situation of their family, with only the two of them left and enemies surrounding them, she is determined to no longer hide her strength, and to take on the responsibility of protecting their family. She confesses that she has already avenged her brother's injury. It turns out that on the hunting grounds, she deliberately waited until Prince Jin's leg was crippled by a frenzied bear, before she intervened, with the aim of leaving him severely injured and unable to inherit the throne. Her brother is shocked but is more concerned for his sister's safety. Ali then reveals an even deeper conspiracy. The danger on the hunting grounds was part of a larger plot. There were not only frenzied bears, but also assassins sent after her. She deduces that this was a scheme by the royal consort Ruin, who had intended to eliminate both her and Prince Mo, but ended up harming her own son, Prince Jean, in a classic case of hoist by one's own petard. In a quaint room, the mysterious masked prince and his princess consort engage in a game of emotional chess and confession. The prince begins by confidently, almost flirtatiously, probing his wife, trying to get her to admit her feelings for him. The princess consort, however, maintains a reserved and resistant demeanor, expressing confusion over his current personality, which is a far cry from the taciturn and aloof man of rumors. As the conversation deepens, the prince reveals the real reason he is not the disfigured man of legend. It was all for a profound promise, one life, one world, one pair, that he has worn the mask for years. It was a way to ward off any outside admiration or distractions, solely to protect his unique love for her. Finally, the prince removes his mask, revealing his handsome face. The princess consort, deeply moved by his devotion and thoughtfulness, sees the misunderstandings between them dissolve. Their relationship has now entered a new, more intimate phase. Prince Mo's brother, Lu Fengjin, urgently summons Ali from her residence, claiming that Prince Mo is gravely ill. On the carriage ride to Prince Mo's mansion, he laughingly reveals the truth. Prince Mo is not physically worse, but simply in a bad mood because Ali hasn't visited him. He even shows her a complaint letter Prince Mo had written to him. Ali, feeling both exasperated and amused, still agrees to see him. She arrives at his bedchamber to find him lying in bed, wearing his mask and pretending to be on his deathbed. But the first words out of his mouth are a jealous accusation. "Have you been to see that dog Lu Fengjin?" He then proceeds to theatrically list his symptoms: bruising, nausea, loss of appetite to gain her sympathy. Ali calmly points to the official documents he's been working on, exposing his charade. Caught in his act, Prince Mo cleverly reframes his behavior as working while injured out of loyalty to the country. And then, with a heartfelt gaze, he asks Ali if she is satisfied with such a responsible husband, turning a childish prank into a tender, emotional test. Prince Jing, gravely injured while saving the woman he loves, Chuelli, is told by the imperial physician that he can no longer have children. In his agony, he seeks comfort from Chuelli, only to be met with her icy ridicule. She then reveals that before he saved her, she had been attacked by the royal family's secret assassins, implying that he is somehow connected to the plot. Shocked, Prince Jing immediately goes to confront his mother. In the royal consort's chambers, the truth is unraveled layer by layer. His mother admits to sending assassins after Chuelli, believing she was conspiring with Prince Jing's political rival, Prince Mo, and jeopardizing his path to the throne. Even more shockingly, the frenzied bear incident that injured him was also a trap set by his mother to frame Prince Mo, and he was an unintended victim. In his despair and rage, Prince Jing finds a renewed determination to fight, vowing to take back everything that belongs to him, especially his woman. At a royal banquet, the Empress brings up the third prince's previous public proposal to Ali, intending to push the marriage forward. Just as both the third prince and Ali are caught in an awkward position, the masked Prince Mo, Lu Beima, suddenly steps forward, and, in front of everyone, requests the Emperor's permission to marry Ali. He then reveals a secret that has been kept for 9 years. He was the one who saved Ali from a great fire, not someone else as everyone believed. And she had promised to marry her savior when she grew up. The truth is confirmed by a burn scar on his arm. Ali is stunned, realizing she has been mistaken about her savior for 9 years, and is overcome with guilt toward Lu Beima. However, because she has sworn an oath to avenge her parents and find their remains, she cannot accept the marriage proposal at this time. Lu Beima, understanding her situation, lovingly promises that since he has already waited 9 years, he is willing to wait even longer. In a quaint room, Prince Lu Beima and Ali have a candid conversation. The prince reveals the true reason for his public proposal. It was to preempt another suitor. He also admits that he knew all along that Ali planned to use the excuse of finding her parents' remains to refuse all marriage proposals. Ali then questions why he didn't tell her the truth about the past sooner. The prince confidently replies that he believes she will eventually fall for him regardless. Touched by his words, Ali expresses her understanding of the grievances he has endured for years. The prince seizes the opportunity to ask for compensation, that she call him by his name, Beima, in private. As their relationship softens, Ali asks the crucial question: why did he, a stranger to her at the time, risk his life to save her from the fire all those years ago? The video ends on a cliffhanger, as the prince, instead of answering, meaningfully grabs her wrist. Liu Beima playfully brings up again how Chuelli, as a child, had kissed him and promised to marry him, simply because he was good-looking. Through a series of warm childhood flashbacks, their deep, innocent bond as childhood friends is beautifully illustrated. Moved by these memories, Chuelli finally reciprocates Liu Beima's feelings. They share a passionate kiss, and she agrees to marry him. However, just as Chuelli is dressed in her wedding gown, happily preparing to marry, her handmaiden rushes in with devastating news. The third Prince of Dong'o was assassinated at the inn, and rumors are spreading that Chuelli and Prince Mo are the culprits. The emperor has summoned them to the palace immediately. A sudden political conspiracy has cast a huge shadow over their happy wedding, plunging their future into an unknown crisis. Before the emperor, a eunuch publicly accuses Ali and Prince Mo of retaliating against the third prince for his marriage proposal to Ali, first by injuring him and then by setting a fire to murder him. Faced with these false accusations, Ali remains composed. She uses her medical knowledge to counter, pointing out that the third prince was already poisoned before the fire, which is why he was unconscious and unable to escape. She successfully elevates the incident from a personal grudge to a political conspiracy aimed at provoking war between the two nations, capturing the emperor's full attention. Faced with the emperor's skepticism, Prince Mo steps forward and stakes his own life as a guarantee for Ali. The emperor is ultimately persuaded and gives them 3 days to uncover the truth. After leaving the imperial study, the trio immediately begins to strategize. Ali identifies the components of the poison. Prince Mo sends his men to the pharmacy to trace the clues, and she arranges for her brother to protect the key witness, the third prince, while she and Prince Mo head to the crime scene to search for more evidence. The masked prince and the clever lady in white investigate the scene of the fire at an inn. Through clues like black oil and hongingzi, a plant that only grows in barbarian lands, they quickly deduce that the mastermind is Tuoba Mingwei, and suspect she has an accomplice within the palace. To lure out the enemy, they decide to set a trap. Later, the prince interrogates a captured female assassin. At first, she is defiant, but under the prince's brutal torture and psychological pressure, she finally breaks and confesses that her mastermind is indeed Tuoba Mingwei. Her mission was to seduce the prince and turn him into a pawn for her revenge. With the truth revealed, the prince now has a plan in motion to catch all his enemies in one fell swoop. Chuelli is treating the poisoned and unconscious third prince, when one of the masterminds, royal consort Rue, arrives to apply pressure. She threatens Chuelli, warning that if the real culprit isn't found within 3 days, both she and Prince Mo will pay with their lives. Chuelli, however, turns the tables. Through clever questioning, she tricks the consort's handmaiden, Xiao Momo, into revealing that she knows the poison's formula, thereby confirming the consort's involvement. She then spreads false information, claiming to have found the hiding place of the other conspirator, Tuoba Mingwei, and plans to capture her the next day to lure them out. As the consort sends someone to warn Tuoba Mingwei, Chuelli receives new information from her own subordinate. A female assassin who was executed had mannerisms strikingly similar to an old acquaintance, Tuoba Feiyuan. Chuelli decides to let the line run long to catch the big fish, choosing not to act immediately, but to wait until all the conspirators have revealed themselves. The prince in purple learns from his subordinate that the captured female assassin, Moronghua, not only has mannerisms strikingly similar to Tuoba Feiyuan, whom he once knew, but that rumors are also spreading, comparing him to his brother, Prince Mo. This fuels his suspicion and rage, believing that Moronghua has been deceiving him from the start. He personally goes to the Misty Rain Pavilion to interrogate her. There, the battered Moronghua acts erratically, sometimes lucid, sometimes insane. She alternates between cursing the prince as a dog and affectionately declaring that she doesn't mind his past, wishing for them to be together forever. The prince sees through her act, recognizing it as the trained deception of an assassin. He finally loses control, grabs her by the neck, and demands to know her true motive for getting close to him. During an interrogation in the prince's courtyard, the lady in white, under pressure from the attendant, finally confesses that her initial approach to the prince was a ploy to avenge her sister, with the ultimate goal of stealing him away and destroying his family. However, she then tearfully professes that in the process of the charade, she genuinely fell in love with him. Upon learning the truth of her betrayal, the prince is heartbroken and enraged. Despite her tearful declarations of love, the pain of being deceived is too great for him to forgive. He ultimately orders her to be thrown into the dungeon, and sends his men to track down the true mastermind, her sister. A love that began as a quest for revenge has ended in imprisonment and a final, bitter separation, urging her to leave immediately. However, this is all a trap set by Chuelli and the masked male lead, Liu Beima. Before they can react, sleeping gas fills the room, and they are both knocked unconscious. Chuelli and Liu Beima then enter and capture them. After the enemies are taken away, Liu Beima expresses his deep affection for Chuelli and eagerly asks her to marry him, saying he can't wait any longer. Chuelli hesitates due to a past oath, but shows her concern for his safety. Sensing her feelings, Liu Beima gives her a year to overcome her reservations and seals his promise with a gentle kiss on her forehead and a loving vow. A successful capture has also led to a heartfelt commitment. In the palace of Dongling, the emperor interrogates royal consort Rui, accusing her of plotting to frame Prince Liu Beima and Ali, as well as attempting to assassinate the third prince of Dongzhou, to provoke a war between the two nations. At first, the consort vehemently denies everything, tearfully pleading her innocence, and even trying to shift the blame onto Liu Beima and Ali. However, when the emperor threatens the safety of her own son, Jiner, she breaks down. To protect him, she confesses to all the crimes, falsely claiming she acted alone out of jealousy of Ali. Ultimately, the emperor orders her to be stripped of her title and confined to the cold palace. After the incident, Ali finds the troubled Liu Beima outside the palace gates and invites him for a drink, signaling a new development in their relationship after surviving the crisis together. In a dark dungeon, Prince Lian Lu Fenglian is interrogating the captured Tuoba Fei Wan. Enraged by the deception of the Tuoba sisters, he demands to know their true motives. Tuoba Fei Wan calmly admits that their real target is revenge against the ones who destroyed their family years ago, Chuelli and Chu Xiuhe, and that Prince Lian was merely a pawn in their plan. To further crush him, she cruelly reveals the truth. The woman he loves, Chuelli, was nearby when he was attacked by a frenzied bear. However, she deliberately waited until his leg was crippled before she stepped in to save him. This revelation shatters Prince Lian. He furiously orders his men to lock Tuoba Fei Wan in the deepest part of the dungeon, while he is left to grapple with the immense pain of being betrayed by the woman he loves. In a dark prison cell, Prince Lu Fengjin sets a cruel test for two sisters, Tuoba Mingwei and Chuelli, forcing them to fight to the death, with only one allowed to survive until dawn. At first, the younger sister, Chuelli, pleads with her sister and the prince to save her. But when she realizes only one of them can live, her survival instinct takes over. She chooses betrayal, picking up a sword to kill her sister. However, she never imagined that her sister's martial arts skills were far superior to her own. Tuoba Mingwei easily counters her attack and ultimately kills her. The surviving sister, Tuoba Mingwei, her eyes filled with hatred, vows to take revenge on Lu Fengjin and the others who orchestrated this tragedy. A brutal test of survival has ignited an even fiercer flame of vengeance. A fifth prince with an injured leg confronts the woman he loves, accusing her of standing by and watching as he was mauled by a wild beast. The woman remains cold and indifferent. She not only exposes his past conspiracy with others to harm her brother, but also reveals a core lie: the life-saving grace that formed the basis of their relationship was a sham. The real person who saved her was another prince, Liu Beima. Just as the fifth prince's world is crumbling from this revelation, and he tries to salvage his dignity by claiming Liu Beima is disfigured, the handsome and perfectly intact Liu Beima himself appears. This dramatic entrance shatters the fifth prince's lies and pride completely, leaving him in a state of utter despair. Prince Lian confronts the male and female protagonists in a room, only to be shocked to find that the male protagonist, whom he believed to be disfigured, is perfectly fine and is intimately close with the heroine Ali. The couple's words reveal that Prince Lian had been misled by rumors all along, and they use this to humiliate him. Then, the heroine delivers an even more devastating blow. She informs him that his beloved, royal consort Rui, has been sent to the cold palace due to the exposure of their affair, and they will never see each other again. This news completely breaks Prince Lian. As he stumbles out of the mansion, his attendant brings the final piece of tragic news. Royal consort Rui has committed suicide in the cold palace. Overwhelmed by the successive blows, Prince Lian collapses, vomiting blood, his will to live shattered. The episode ends by revealing that a woman named Tuoba Mingwei is imprisoned, and she is the real desert flower, implying that the entire affair was a grand conspiracy involving mistaken identities. The tone of the story suddenly shifts, as a lively princess playfully chases a reluctant General Chu through a courtyard, in a light-hearted, comedic scene. However, the camera then cuts to another prince, Liu Beima, who is filled with sorrow and anxiety because his beloved, Ollie, has not seen him for days. When Ollie is summoned to him, he drops his vulnerable facade and makes a serious request. He invites her to be his military strategist and to journey with him to the perilous southern and northern capital regions to avenge her family. This gesture reveals his deep love and commitment to Ollie. He is willing to go anywhere with her, even through fire and flames. Touched by his sincerity, Ollie agrees. They finally embrace, reaching a mutual understanding. A relationship that began with a misunderstanding has at last found a new beginning in a